Thank you, Kevin. So my name is Raj. I'm an incoming junior at Avenues in New York. For my project, I used a Raspberry Pi microcontroller and Python code to run hand gesture recognition. And for my modification, I used that software to control and use a two-wheel car. I was interested in the original object detection project, and I pursued my modifications because I wanted to have a project with hardware and software components. And I was also interested in the idea of object detection, and that's what this project offered. So for my demo, I'll play a video with two different parts. The first of which is my hand gesture recognition software, and the other will be my car reacting to it. And as Kevin just said, I just had some technical difficulties with one of the motors. So what I'll be screen sharing right now will be kind of limited, and it's just the car turning to the left, but you can see a lot of how the hand gesture recognition is working. So this is the sound. Sorry. Yeah. So it's that video that I just showed makes it seem pretty limited. But that's just because the left motor is not working, so I can't go forward or to the right at the moment. So yeah. So working on my project, after I finished setting up the microcontroller, which also took a while, I had to install three main programs to start working on my finger detection, and that included TensorFlow, OpenCV, and Protobuf. And after I installed that, I was able to start working on my finger detection. Essentially how it works is it creates a circle around the extreme points on the hand and then recognizes if there's points on the circumference and counts those as fingers. And with that logic, the code runs to check if there's a closed fist by counting if there are no fingers up. And then it checks if there's fingers being pointed to the left or right by checking what part of the circumference the fingers are being recognized in. And then once I had all the code working, I had to hook it up to my car. So the car is just a simple two wheels and two motors mounted on a chassis, and it utilizes a motor driver, which is hooked up to the car and the Raspberry Pi, and it acts as like an interface between the two. The most challenging part of my project was definitely working with the motor driver and the hardware component. Before this project, I never used a motor driver, and I'd also had pretty limited work with hardware, such as this car and all the wiring I had to do. And it definitely caused the most problems with my project, and I am still working through them. So for my reflection, I learned a lot about object detection while working on this project and how it is used in the real world. And I got really into the engineering process while dealing with all the problems that came up in every part of my project. And I definitely learned a lot by taking on a project that I didn't have too much prior experience with. And I feel like that made me learn more than I could have done if I picked something that was easier for me. And I think I liked how my project turned out because it's a good mix of the projects that I was interested in when I was looking at the project book. And after I fix these final errors and get everything cleaned up, I think it'll be a pretty cool project. So thank you for listening.
Thanks so much, Raj. Yeah, it's really unfortunate, the timing of the error. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question. So first, I'm sure you'll get that motor fixed tomorrow. We'll get that back together. But I wanted to ask. We had talked a couple days ago, I think, about where you might go with the gesture control, like how you might enhance or add to the gestures to make driving the car a little bit more smooth. Have you thought about that? Is that something that you want to try and push forward on? Is updating the gestures?
Yeah, so when both motors are working at the moment, this car is able to go forward and to the turn left and right. and also depending on the amount of fingers you hold up, the speed at which it rotates, the speed at which the rotates, okay, the speed at which the motors rotate is increased depending on how many fingers you hold up, and that's for that works with turning left, right, and going forward. One basic function I still want to add is just moving backwards. And then I also think, it also works with the closed fist. It actually stops all the motors. But I had a few more ideas about what I wanted to do with the hand gestures. I wanted to the, the way I wanted to like incorporate a second hand. I think I talked to you about this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it would be really cool if you were able to control it with two hands. But that would definitely take a lot more work and would probably be like another milestone. But yeah.